no longer an innocent word. It's a battlefield of memory. She remembers what love felt like when it was unsafe, when affection came with control, when promises came with pain, when "I love you" was followed by abandon. When her heart longs for connection, her mind whispers caution. You'll see it in subtle ways. She may hesitate before returning a compliment. She may deflect your affection with humor. She may appear strong, independent, even emotionally distant, not because she feels nothing, but because feeling too much once broke her. In her world, love equals exposure. And exposure once meant danger. The paradox of love and fear. There is a strange paradox in those who have been deeply hurt. They crave what they fear most. They want love, yet they cannot fully trust it. They desire closeness, yet they pull away when it's offered. It's not inconsistency, it's protection. Her nervous system has learned that safety requires control, and love requires surrender. Those two realities cannot coexist easily inside her. Jung would say she is torn between eros, the longing for union, and thanatos, the fear of dissolution. To love is to dissolve the ego, to risk merging, trusting, being seen. For someone who has been wounded, that's not romance, it's terror. Her shadow tells her that surrender is vulnerability, and vulnerability leads to pain. So she loves carefully, conditionally, as if standing near a fire she cannot step too close to. The Stoic view, trust is the hardest virtue. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." For her, love has been dyed by fear. Even when she meets a good man, her mind still interprets tenderness through the lens of old pain. She doesn't see you, not fully, she sees the echoes of what once was. To the Stoic, trust is not blind faith, it's earned calmness. She cannot choose to trust until her perception of safety is rebuilt. And that takes time, not words, not promises, but consistency. Stoics would remind us that patience is an act of love. It is the refusal to rush what the soul has not yet healed. If you ever love such a woman, understand this, her hesitation is not rejection. Her testing is not manipulation. It's the only way she knows to measure if she can rest in your presence without fear of collapse. The hidden test. She will test you, not overtly, but emotionally. She might retreat just when things become intimate. She might provoke my case, criticize, or remain steady. It's not a game. It's a subconscious reenactment of her old wounds, a way of asking, will you still be here when I'm not easy to love? Many men fail this test because they respond with frustration or ego. If you see it rightly. It is her soul's way of confirming whether safety can coexist with affection, something she has never fully known. The Stoics taught the importance of constancy, the ability to remain unmoved by external fluctuations. If you embody calm when she wavers, she begins to rewire her sense of trust. Slowly, her fear of love begins to dissolve. The inner war. The dark past leaves her with two opposing voices. One says, don't get close. People hurt you. The other whispers, please don't leave. I'm tired of being alone. This war is invisible to the world but exhausting to her spirit. She doesn't want to sabotage love, she simply doesn't know how to receive it without expecting pain. It's not you she distrusts, it's her own memory. Every tender gesture is filtered through the question, is this how it starts again? And so she oscillates, warm one moment, distant the next. Not because she is cold, but because her body remembers what her mind tries to forget. The healing path. The answer is not to fix her. The answer is to see her, fully, quietly, without agenda. Jung taught that healing begins in integration, the acceptance of both light and shadow. When a woman with a dark past begins to feel accepted in her entirety, without needing to hide her defenses, something profound happens, her heart relaxes. She starts to trust that love can exist without domination, that affection can coexist with freedom. And in that trust, her real self begins to emerge, tender, creative, unguarded. But until that happens, remember. Her distrust is not defiance. It is the residue of survival. Love her gently. But love her wisely. Even the most wounded soul will soften in the presence of truth. Sign 3, her emotions swing between warmth and withdrawal. There is a rhythm to her soul that few understand. One moment, she is present, eyes bright, voice alive, laughter spilling from her like sunlight after rain. The next, she fades. Her gaze drifts elsewhere, her voice softens, and you can feel her energy retracting into a place you cannot follow. You will wonder, what changed? Did I do something wrong? The truth is, nothing changed. She simply touched something inside herself that you cannot see. This is one of the clearest signs of a dark past, emotional oscillation between closeness and distance. To the untrained heart, it looks like inconsistency. But in truth, it's the body's ancient dance between safety and protection. When a woman has lived through betrayal, chaos, or abandonment, her emotions no longer flow freely. They move in cycles, approach, withdrawal. It is not a performance. It's a survival pattern that once kept her alive. The push-pull of survival. Imagine growing up in an environment where love and pain were indistinguishable, where affection was followed by punishment, where vulnerability invited ridicule. The nervous system learns a cruel equation: closeness equals danger. As an adult, even when she meets genuine kindness, her body reacts as if it's a trap. So she instinctively pulls back, not because she doesn't care, but because she cares too much. Her withdrawal is not absence, it's self-preservation. You might see it after a moment of deep connection, a vulnerable conversation, an intimate night, a shared silence that feels sacred. Then suddenly, she grows distant. Her tone changes, her eyes drift away. It's as if she's afraid of what just happened. In that instant, she is not rejecting you. She is regulating her fear of being hurt again. The shadow archetype, the wounded anima. Jung spoke of the anima, the inner feminine archetype that carries emotion, intuition, and connection to the soul. When the anima is wounded, her flow becomes unpredictable. Love becomes both nourishment and poison. A woman with a dark past often carries the wounded anima energy. She feels everything deeply, sometimes too deep. To protect herself, she builds barriers around her sensitivity. But the same walls that keep pain out also keep love out. Thus begins the inner conflict. She longs for intimacy, yet her psyche fears it. Her warmth, when she offers it, is genuine, but fragile. Her withdrawal, when it comes, is not punishment, it's reflex. And in this pattern lies the essence of her shadow, the part of her that still associates love with loss. The Stoic mirror, stillness amid the storm. Epictetus once wrote, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." To love a woman with a dark past, you must embody this principle. Her emotional tides are not to be controlled, corrected, or chased. They are to be witnessed with calm detachment. When she retreats, she feels unsafe. If you demand her openness, she shuts down further. But if you remain grounded, still, warm, patient, she begins to sense something unfamiliar: stability. And slowly, her nervous system starts to trust your energy. This is how the Stoic man heals without trying to heal, fixing what is broken. You cannot teach her peace. You must become peace. The hidden language of her emotions will tell you more than her words. Pay attention to the subtle transitions. When her laughter fades too quickly, it's not disinterest, it's memory. When she falls silent after joy, she's checking if happiness is safe. When she withdraws after intimacy, it's her inner child testing whether love can coexist with safety. She is constantly calibrating: how much can I give before I disappear? How close can I get before I get hurt? You will not win this battle by reassurance alone. Words mean little to someone whose past was full of broken promises. What she trusts is consistency. The steady tone in your voice. The calm in your presence. The way you stay the same whether she's near or distant. Her emotional swings are not manipulation, they are echoes. Echoes of a life where emotions had to be controlled to survive. You must listen, not to the noise, but to what it means. Why her warmth feels so intense. When it appears, feels different from ordinary affection. It's not casual or fleeting. It's sacred, as if she's giving you a piece of herself she rarely reveals. Because she is. When she lets down her guard, it's not small talk. It's surrender. And in that surrender, you glimpse who she truly is beneath the armor, playful, radiant, unguarded. That glimpse will haunt you, because it's so rare and beautiful. But her openness comes in waves because her trust does too. When she withdraws again, don't take it personally. It's not a reversal. It's her soul catching its breath. The philosophy of allowing. The Stoics taught the art of allowing, to accept reality without resistance. You cannot rush the rhythm of someone who has. Her pace is not yours to dictate. Her silence is not your enemy, it is her way of remembering herself. So when she retreats, don't chase her. When she grows quiet, don't fill the space. Just remain, calm, centered, unthreatened. In time, she will return. And when she does, she will return not to your words, but to your energy. Because energy never lies. And when she feels that your calm does not demand, her shadow begins to rest. She starts to believe that maybe, just maybe, love doesn't always have to hurt. Integration, when the storm becomes still water. True healing for her will never come through grand gestures. It comes through moments of stillness where her emotions are met with understanding, not judgment. Sign 4, she hides behind humor or perfection, protect themselves with walls of silence. She protects herself with performance. Her laughter comes easily, but it never quite reaches her eyes. She makes jokes at her own expense before anyone else can. When something hurts, she masks it in sarcasm. When she feels vulnerable, she distracts with charm. To most, she seems radiant, always composed, witty, capable. But what you're seeing isn't ease, it's control. The mask of competence. A woman who has endured chaos learns early that safety depends on keeping others comfortable. If she was punished for sadness, she learned to smile. If she was ignored, she learned to entertain. If she was judged, she learned to excel. Perfection became her survival code. Every achievement, every flawless gesture says, she isn't lying. She's performing a truth that once protected her. But perfection is exhausting. It means never resting, never revealing the cracks. And humor, her lighter mask, is the clever way she releases pressure without surrendering vulnerability. It buys her space in a world that once punished sincerity. Jung's insight, the persona. Carl Jung called this outer facade the persona, the mask one wears to meet society's expectations. For the untraumatized, the persona is flexible. For the wounded, it becomes armor. She fears that if anyone saw her unmasked, her confusion, her fear, her softness, they would leave. So she refines the performance until she forgets where the act ends and the self begins. The tragedy is that the persona once saved her life, but now it keeps her from living it. The Stoic parallel, control as refuge. Stoic philosophy teaches mastery over emotion, but not denial of it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." She misunderstood that long before she ever read it. Her control was born not of philosophy, but of necessity. She controlled what she could, her grades, her appearance, her manners, because the world around her was unpredictable. To her, losing control feels like death. So she perfects everything, her posture, her timing, her tone. She believes that if she performs flawlessly, pain will not return. But control is a fragile god. It demands constant sacrifice. The hidden cost of being the strong one. People often admire her. They call her inspiring, resilient, the one who keeps it together. Few notice that she's tired. Even fewer ask who comforts her. Because perfection forbids weakness, she cries only in private. Because humor deflects intimacy, no one realizes how rarely she feels truly seen. The very traits that draw people to her also isolate her. Underneath, there's a simple truth: she's afraid of being ordinary, because ordinary once meant unsafe. Recognizing the crack in the mask. If you look closely, you'll notice moments where the performance slips. A flash of irritation when someone thanks her too sincerely. A tremor in her voice when laughter lingers. Sign 5, she is addicted to chaos. Peace makes her uneasy. When life becomes still, when no one is yelling, nothing is collapsing, and no storm is gathering, she begins to feel an emptiness she can't explain. Her mind starts searching for problems. Her body hums with invisible tension. She might create conflict where none existed, or make sudden, impulsive decisions that shake the calm she just earned. To an outsider, it looks like self-sabotage. To her, it feels like home. The body's memory of turmoil. Trauma isn't only psychological, it's physiological. If she grew up in an environment of shouting, neglect, or emotional volatility, her nervous system learned to operate on high alert. That adrenaline became her normal baseline. Peace, then, feels foreign, almost threatening, because it lacks the familiar signals of survival. When calm finally arrives, her body doesn't interpret it as safety. It interprets it as waiting for the next blow. So she unconsciously recreates chaos to restore equilibrium. Jung would call this a repetition compulsion, the unconscious drive to recreate unresolved situations, hoping to rewrite the ending. But the ending rarely changes. What changes is her exhaustion. The illusion of aliveness. Chaos gives her a strange sense of vitality. She equates intensity with love, conflict with connection, drama with meaning. Quiet days feel dull, healthy affection feels flat. She needs the emotional spikes, the rush of passion, the tears, the apologies, to feel alive. This isn't shallowness, it's conditioning. Her heart learned to equate emotional volatility with importance. If it didn't hurt, it didn't matter. So she chases relationships that mirror her early environment, unpredictable, passionate, unstable. And when peace comes, when someone loves her steadily, she misreads it as boredom. That's when she'll pick at something minor, question your tone, or retreat into coldness just to feel a spark again. The unconscious wants to return to the temperature it recognizes. The Stoic lens, freedom from impulse. The Stoics taught that tranquility is the highest form of strength. Epictetus warned against becoming a slave to emotion, writing, "When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings." For her, chaos is not chosen consciously, it's reaction. She doesn't yet know that calmness isn't emptiness, it's freedom. Freedom from the tyranny of reaction, from the compulsion to feel in order to know she exists. To help her see this truth, one must embody it. If you respond to her turbulence with equal volatility, the pattern continues. If you meet it with silence and steadiness, you become a mirror of what spirit secretly longs for: stability that doesn't withdraw, calm that doesn't punish. How chaos becomes identity. Over time, the addiction to chaos seeps into every layer of her identity. She may describe herself as passionate, intense, or a little crazy when it comes to love. These words sound playful, but they hide fatigue. Deep down, she's tired of starting over, tired of burning bridges, tired of wondering why peace never lasts. She fears that if she ever stops fighting, she'll disappear. That fear keeps her trapped. The Stoic answer is moderation. Not repression, not indulgence, balance. When she begins to experience calm as something she can inhabit rather than escape, she begins to reclaim her life from her past. Signs you're seeing the pattern. You'll know she's caught in this loop when she creates emotional highs and lows instead of steady connection. She becomes restless after moments of harmony. She confuses calm with disinterest. She thrives in crisis but feels lost in ordinary peace. These are not red flags to condemn, but maps to understand. They point to a nervous system that has forgotten how to rest. Breaking the cycle. Healing begins the first time she chooses not to react. The first time she allows silence to stretch without filling it with fear. The first time she realizes peace doesn't mean abandonment, it means safety. But this realization doesn't come from words. It comes from repeated exposure to calm, compassionate presence. Body relearns what the mind already knows, that not every quiet moment precedes pain. Jung believed that integration is achieved not by destroying the shadow, but by befriending it. The part of her that craves chaos isn't evil, it's the wounded child still looking for attention. When she can hold that part with awareness rather than judgment, chaos loses its grip. And when she finally learns to breathe in peace without suspicion, her beauty changes. It's no longer the fierce, defensive beauty of survival, but the soft radiance of someone who no longer... There are women who move through the world like poetry, graceful, composed, self-contained, yet when you look into their eyes, something unspoken lingers there. A silence too deep, a gaze too knowing. It isn't sadness exactly, it's recognition, the kind you feel when you stand before someone who has already survived several lifetimes inside one. You sense it before she speaks. The way she measures her words. The subtle caution behind her laughter. The invisible armor behind her softness. She smiles, but there's calculation in it, not manipulation, but vigilance. Every gesture is both invitation and test. Are you safe? Most people mistake this for mystery, allure. But it is something older, heavier, it is the residue of a dark past. A dark past doesn't always mean obvious tragedy. Sometimes it's years of emotional neglect. Sometimes it's growing up in silence, learning that love equals pain, or that vulnerability invites betrayal. The darkness is not just what was done to her, it's what she had to become to survive it. You can meet such a woman at any stage of life, in an office meeting, at a coffee shop, online, and you'll feel a subtle pull. She's magnetic, not because she tries to be, but because she feels real. She carries depth in a shallow world. But that depth was not born from peace, it was carved by fire. The unseen weight of a woman's history. Every human being carries a story. But some stories have been edited by survival, rewritten not with ink, but with silence. A woman with a dark past does not announce her pain, she conceals it behind layers of adaptation. You won't see the scars unless you know how to read energy, behaviors. Her life has been shaped by experiences that forced her to build walls where others built memories. Psychology calls it trauma. Jung called it the shadow, the unconscious repository of all we repress, deny, or fear within ourselves. When a woman has lived through darkness, betrayal, abuse, abandonment, shame, that shadow grows dense. It hides behind beauty, intelligence, charm. It wears masks of competence, humor, or detachment. Yet beneath them, her nervous system remembers every wound. You might notice it when she flinches at unexpected affection, or when she seems distant just when things get too close. You might see it in how she can read a room instantly, scanning for danger, anticipating emotional shifts before they happen. Her sensitivity is not intuition alone, it's vigilance, refined by years of surviving uncertainty. And yet, her darkness is also what gives her depth. Her pain has made her perceptive, self-aware, empathic. She can sit with your silence because she has faced her own. But loving such a woman requires discernment. The Stoics taught that wisdom begins in observation, seeing reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. If you want to understand her, you must learn to observe without judgment, to sense the hidden language of her behavior. Not to diagnose. Not to fix. But to see. What follows are 10 signs, not of weakness, not of doom, but of history. Each is a window into how the past shapes the present, how survival leaves fingerprints on the soul. Sign 1, her eyes tell stories she'll never speak. Her eyes are her biography. They hold what words have learned to there's a quiet depth to them, a stillness that feels older than her age. Sometimes they seem tired, even when she's smiling. Sometimes they flash with intensity at random moments, as if an old memory just stirred beneath the surface. She doesn't need to tell you about her past, her eyes already have. The human gaze is more than sight, it's energy exchange. Psychologists say the eyes reveal affect regulation, how a person manages years of instability or fear. Their eyes often carry two energies at once, alertness and fatigue. They are always watching yet longing for rest. You'll notice it when she enters a crowded space. Her eyes sweep the environment before she relaxes. She might position herself near an exit, subconsciously ensuring safety. This isn't paranoia, it's conditioning. Her nervous system was trained to expect the unexpected. And yet those same eyes can soften in an instant. When she feels safe, alive, magnetic. It's as if a light hidden behind a curtain suddenly glows. That contrast, between vigilance and vulnerability, is the telltale signature of someone who has lived through darkness. Jung would say her eyes reveal the integration battle between her shadow and her conscious self. The shadow still remembers pain, the conscious self strives for peace. In moments of connection, the two meet, and the result is that haunting kind of beauty that both attracts and unsettles. Sign 2, she distrusts love, even when she craves it. She wants to love. She truly does. But love terrifies her, not because she doubts its existence, but because she knows its cost. To someone who has walked through darkness, love is no longer an innocent word. It's a battlefield of memory. She remembers what love felt like when it was unsafe, when affection came with control, when promises came with pain, when "I love you" was followed by abandonment. So, even when her heart longs for connection, her mind whispers caution. You'll see it in subtle ways. She may hesitate before returning a compliment. She may appear strong, independent, even emotionally distant, not because she feels nothing, but because feeling too much once broke her. In her world, love equals exposure. And exposure once meant danger. The paradox of love and fear. There is a strange paradox in those who have been deeply hurt. They crave what they fear most. They want love, yet they cannot fully trust it. They desire closeness, yet they pull away when it's offered. It's not inconsistency, it's protection. Her nervous system has learned that safety requires control, and love requires surrender. Those two realities cannot coexist easily inside her. Jung would say she is torn between eros, the longing for union, and thanatos, the fear of dissolution. To love is to dissolve the ego, to risk merging, trusting, being seen. For someone who has been wounded, that's not romance, it's terror. Her shadow tells her that surrender is vulnerability, and vulnerability leads to pain. So she loves carefully, conditionally, as if standing near a fire she cannot step too close to. The Stoic view, trust is the hardest virtue. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." For her, love has been dyed by fear. Even when she meets a good man, her mind still interprets tenderness through the lens of old pain. She doesn't see you, not fully, she sees the echoes of what once was. To the Stoic, trust is not blind faith. She cannot choose to trust until her perception of safety is rebuilt. And that takes time, not words, not promises, but consistency. The Stoics would remind us that patience is love. It is the refusal to rush what the soul has not yet healed. If you ever love such a woman, understand this: her hesitation is not rejection. Her testing is not manipulation. It's the only way she knows to measure if she can rest in your presence without fear of collapse. The hidden test. She will test you, not overtly, but emotionally. She might retreat just when things become intimate. She might provoke mild distance to see if you will chase, criticize, or remain steady. It's not a game. It's a subconscious reenactment of her old wounds, a way of asking, will you still be here when I'm not easy to love? Many men fail this test because they respond with frustration or ego. But the test is sacred, if you see it rightly. It is her soul's way of confirming whether safety can coexist with affection, something she has